So, this story kicks off with a mafia boss who helped his employer blow up some people. Yes, straight up explosions. But then the employer turned shady, refusing to pay him what was owed. The boss didn't even get a chance to apologize or explain himself. Not that he seemed the apologizing type. This guy wasn't your average tough guy. In his hands, even a tiger would seem like a harmless kitty. But, surprisingly, he wasn't always this intimidating figure. A few years earlier, he was just a lumberjack hustling in the woods. Around 1996, things had drastically changed. The guy, Mickey, had climbed the ranks and was now the boss of a mafia gang. One night, he was hanging out at a bar with his crew, singing karaoke and having a good time. Mickey spotted a young woman and decided to chat her up. Before long, they were ready to head to a hotel room together. But as he stepped outside to grab his phone from the car, he noticed someone messing with it. Mickey wasn't the type to let that slide. He pulled out his gun, confronted the guy, and when the thief tried to bluff his way out of it, Mickey knocked him out cold. That wasn't all, though. Mickey tied the guy to the back of his car and dragged him along the road for a little lesson. His crew found the whole scene hilarious, and even the girl he'd been flirting with couldn't help but laugh. It was wild, but Mickey wasn't always like this. Rewind to 1991 in a small Bavarian town in Germany, and he was just a regular lumberjack. Back then, Mickey and his brother Lotto had asked their boss for time off because their dad was seriously ill. But the boss wasn't having it. Heavy workload and all that. Frustrated, Lotto chucked a chainsaw to show his anger, but the boss stood his ground. No time off until the weekend, or no pay. Desperate to see their dad, the brothers decided to leave anyway. By the time they got home, though, it was too late. Their dad had already passed away. The funeral was rough. Afterward, they had to deal with a pile of debts their dad had left behind, about 300 grand. Mickey decided to stick around and sort things out. Life went on. Mickey's wife, Ella, was holding things together at home, and Lotto refused to go back to work in Germany, still bitter about how they'd been treated. Meanwhile, Mickey had bigger plans. He wanted to buy 2 buses and start his own transport business, despite Ella's protests about using their savings. She wanted to buy a house, but Mickey felt it was time to take a risk. His friends backed him up too. At one point, Mickey visited a prison with a buddy who bribed a guard to bring out an inmate named David. Apparently, David was a stand-up guy who'd gone to jail rather than snitch on his friends. Mickey was curious about what kind of job would land someone in prison with that much loyalty. His friend didn't spill the details, though, just smiled and changed the topic. Fast forward, Mickey signed a contract to buy a bus, but had to pay it off in 3 months. He even bribed the company's employee to secure the deal. Everything was now under David's name, which made Mickey nervous. If David ever ratted them out, they'd all end up behind bars. Mickey made it clear betrayal wasn't an option. One night, after working on the bus, Mickey's mom asked if he'd bought a truck. Someone had told her he was selling vehicles in Germany. Mickey lied, saying he was just helping a friend. Ella saw right through it, though, and later, as they lay in bed, she warned him to stop taking unnecessary risks. Mickey brushed her off, saying he'd be more careful. Things took a turn when Lotto showed up one night, drunk and beaten up by some thugs. Before they could even get him inside, a car pulled up, and the thugs threw Molotov cocktails at the house. Mickey was furious. After making sure his wife and brother were okay, he tracked down the thugs. What followed was a chaotic bar fight. Mickey even forced one of the thugs into a duel with Lotto, promising freedom if he won. Unsurprisingly, Lotto beat the guy down. But Mickey wasn't the forgiving type. He ensured the thug wouldn't be a problem again. Mickey's crew kept growing. One of the newcomers, Mike, had just gotten out of prison, and things got awkward when Mickey asked about his time there. Later, Mike lured an old friend, Leo, to a remote spot. Mickey thought it was just a scare tactic, but Mike ended up shooting Leo. It was a brutal reminder of how cold their world had become. By 1993, Mickey's business was thriving. He bought a house and set Ella up with her own fitness center. Life seemed good on the surface. Even during gatherings, Mickey was rubbing shoulders with police chiefs and other big shots. But behind the scenes, it was all shady deals. At one point, Mickey staged a fake truck robbery to scam the insurance company. He even bribed the cops to look the other way. Mickey's operations expanded, and his crew dabbled in all kinds of illegal schemes. But not everyone played by the rules. When a newbie, Dean, got arrested, Mickey saw it as a loyalty test. Dean didn't crack under pressure, which earned him a spot in Mickey's inner circle. Trouble came when Lotto got into a fight at a bar and accidentally killed someone. Mickey pulled every string he could, even bribing a judge, but things didn't go smoothly. The bar owner, who had witnessed the fight, refused to change his testimony despite Mickey's threats and bribes. Mickey realized the owner wasn't going to budge, so he decided to send a message, one that involved the man's family. At home, Mickey lied to his mom, saying Lotto would be back soon, but the tension was palpable during family gatherings. Mickey's world was spiraling into more violence and deceit, even as his outward life looked more polished than ever. Late at night, Mike walked into the bar after it had closed, claiming his car had broken down just outside the village. He said he needed help and asked the bar owner for assistance. Being a kind-hearted guy, the owner agreed to drive Mike. But during the drive, he noticed Mike was holding a weapon. It wasn't what he expected at all. Meanwhile, Mickey's wife had gone to the hospital for a checkup. Ever since she got married at 18, she'd faced one complication after another. She had dealt with an ectopic pregnancy, and despite having surgery right before her wedding, she had insisted on going through with it. Dancing on the same day, no less. The doctor, hearing all this, couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Her neglect of post-op care had led to infections and a host of other problems. The doctor told her that if she ever managed to conceive now, it would truly be miraculous. These words broke her down emotionally. Deep down, she had always suspected Mickey had other women on the side. She wasn't blind or oblivious. But Mickey brought money home and treated her well, so she never made a fuss about it. Still, the lack of kids weighed heavily on her. How much longer could their relationship survive like this? A friend's wife tried to console her, and they shifted the topic to gossip about the bar owner's wife. Apparently, her husband had suddenly disappeared, leaving her a widow. While the friend casually shared this, Mickey's wife took it to heart, her mind spinning with thoughts. Elsewhere, Mickey went to visit his brother again. He assured him that the prosecutor had filed an appeal, and the case was now with the district court. A female judge was presiding over the trial, but Mickey had a plan up his sleeve. He was willing to sacrifice his good reputation to help his brother. Martin, though, felt sick about the whole ordeal. Yet, for the sake of loyalty, he played along, pretending to enjoy himself while he was quietly falling apart inside. The next day, Mickey confronted the judge, demanding she step away from his brother's case. He even threatened her with compromising photos. Mickey had bribed another judge and insisted she hand over the case. That evening, the brothers celebrated at the bar, drinking freely. Mickey introduced Martin to a new partner, Milo, from Bratislava. However, another associate, CO, wasn't thrilled about it and seemed annoyed when Milo started discussing business ventures, like getting into the heating oil market. At one point, the conversation shifted to a story about a Ukrainian man who had been extorting local businessmen. Years ago, Mickey and the crew had tried to deal with him. A dispute broke out, shots were fired, and the Ukrainian ran into the woods. The group devised a plan, hiding nearby while Mickey pretended to leave. The Ukrainian would have to pass them on his way back. They waited patiently, but then Mickey got a call and left. Later, Milo approached Mickey about a job, taking out a man named Zero. The payout was $1 million. Zero was no easy target, so Mickey and his team prepared for the worst, gathering weapons and even bombs. They waited outside Zero's home, but when he emerged with his girlfriend, Mickey hesitated. He couldn't go through with it while an innocent girl was involved. Milo wasn't happy about the failed mission and blamed a newcomer for messing things up. The situation escalated when it was revealed the newcomer had assaulted the bar owner's wife. Enraged, Mickey tricked the newcomer into a secluded spot under the guise of testing detonators. When confronted, the newcomer initially lied but eventually confessed. Without hesitation, Martin shot him dead. Things took a messy turn when the body got stuck in the car, causing it to crash down a slope. Later, Mickey and his crew regrouped to finish the job with Zero, using explosives. But Zero somehow survived, walking away from the explosion. The contractor, furious with the failure, refused to pay Mickey. Around the same time, Mickey had picked up a girl at the bar and driven her to a remote spot. Just as things were heating up, he spotted someone approaching and grabbed his gun. To his surprise, it was a police officer. Before heading home, Mickey doused himself in cologne to mask any suspicious scents. But in his haste, he accidentally wore the wrong underwear, which didn't go unnoticed by his wife. As they argued, Mickey received a call that left him stunned. His close ally, Martin, had been killed the night before by security guards on orders from a rival boss. At Martin's funeral, Mickey vowed revenge. He eventually tracked down the boss responsible and killed him. Shortly after, CO brought Mickey news that other rivals were trying to meddle in their business. But Mickey had more pressing matters. His brother was getting out of prison, and they were planning a celebration. A few days later, Mickey was walking his cat when he got a call that led him to a gym. Sensing trouble, he had a gun in his bag before walking inside. As expected, a group of thugs had barged in, attacking the gym owner. Mickey's suspicions were confirmed. They were the ones trying to interfere in their business. A brawl broke out, weapons were drawn, and by the end of it, Mickey's side emerged victorious, though not without casualties. To cover their tracks, they loaded the bodies into a large metal cabinet and carried it through the streets, pretending to be movers. At one point, they ran into a woman Mickey knew from the construction bureau, who wanted to discuss a hotel project. Blood was dripping from the cabinet, but she didn't seem to notice. They eventually buried the bodies in the outskirts, joking about how often they were digging graves. Fast forward to 1996, Mickey and his crew had finally solidified their position as the top dogs. They gathered to celebrate, singing songs and drinking late into the night. But the celebration ended in tragedy. Mickey's brother, Lotto, got drunk and decided to drive with an equally intoxicated driver. The next morning, Mickey was devastated to learn that both had died in a car crash. At the funeral, the bar owner's widow confronted Mickey's mother, blaming her son for the bar owner's death. She accused her of raising a son with blood on his hands, claiming karma had finally caught up with him. The mother, overwhelmed, questioned Mickey about the people surrounding their family. He brushed it off, calling them his friends. The story wrapped up with Mickey at a crossroads. He had climbed to power with ambition and brutality, but it had cost him dearly.